given us more hope than each other. In Hope Town, a Hope Town. The white flowing dress, more rum, I request. The most beautiful meal is life. The only love worth keeping is love that cannot be kept. And the only hope worth keeping with love is infinite. Oh, but now is a moment when love found on an Indian mound, and all the stillness of sound when your family and your friends are all around. The love has brought us together, giving us more hope for each other. In Hope Town, in Hope Town, in a town of hope. Hope Town.
Welcome to Connected by Water. We're here today with a very good friend of mine, Micah Gardner.
Even open it for you.
Barstool sailor, sunshine billionaire himself. And it's 10-something in the morning, and cheers.
Cheers.
All right. And also, I'm sick, so
I won't be drinking.
That'll make you feel better.
This is my medicine. What am I drinking here? Iguana?
It's a honey hibiscus kolsch.
A Kolsch.
A kolsch.
I just had one of those.
Yeah.
I had Papa's last weekend. Was it last weekend? I can't remember.
Road sort of.
Oh, yeah, you gotta...
Sneaking right over in there.
There you go.
There you
What
go.
a beautiful voice you have. So, yeah, you got to be kind of close, or else no one's going to hear you.
Very bad moment right
We
there.
want to hear you, Micah. It's fine. It's all good. So this is a Kolsch. We just had one of these at Papa's. Not one of these, but similar, and I thought it was a very good beer. So
Yeah, it's a good morning beer.
yeah, oh, nice and light. Very good. Something tells me I needed to bring paper towels onto this podcast. So
It could go that way.
yeah. So how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Thank you for driving up from Islamorada this morning.
Thanks for having me. I'm super grateful to be here.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed looking at your studio and going through some of the stuff you're working on, and the relief program for the Abacos and stuff.
Yep.
Showing me some of that was beautiful, because I think right now that's something that should be on our minds, and
Yep.
make a difference.
Yep.
Do something good.
Absolutely. A little closer than on the mic.
Right there.
There you go. Just like switch it towards you. We're good. Yeah, no, we did a shirt for them, and we raised about a ton of money. And I mean, it's not about us. It's about everyone pitched in and bought the shirts. I can design a shirt. I could put a post up on Facebook, and yay! But it's really the people that sucked it up and bought the shirts. Those are the heroes.
There's a lot of
Yeah, we
folks down in the
contribute.
Keys that are from the Bahamas, and they can trace back to a lot of their lineage, and the conchs and the folks down there, and that still exists, which is kind of nice about a community in the islands and stuff.
Yeah, you're a conch for sure.
Not me.
Well, I mean, you're kind of like an adopted one, I think. No,
You got to get a piece of paper from Key West to show that you really are an adopted conch.
is that how that works?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, some of my friends, they're in their house, they have the honorary conchs, and I'm not there yet, but a couple more songs.
Okay.
It'll
Is
be good.
Ekin a conch?
Eakin's a Pomponian.
A pomponi? Oh, okay.
He's from,
Gotcha.
Yeah, but him and No Name Key. Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully he'll get a chance to come up here and hang out with you guys, because the fishing that you guys have been talking about is wonderful. And it's nice to hear it from a totally different point of view, because when you're on a boat with your chartering, you're fishing the whole time, and you don't get to hear what's going through the captain's heads and the mates.
Good.
Yeah, it's easy drinking. Easy drinking. A good way to start the day.
Yeah, I was trying to get Dave on the podcast. He said, "Yeah, I'll do it." Blah blah, and then we'll see.
For those of you guys who don't know who Dave is Tidal Wave Dave.
Tidal Wave Dave.
Yeah, Dave Eakin. He works down at the government center. He's a lobster conch migration studying
He's
biologist.
a marine biologist, right?
Yeah. And super smart. Good guy.
Yeah. And an expert fisherman, diver, and
Yes.
a master
chef,
diver. Yeah.
traveler. He's an interesting dude.
We like bringing the Renaissance men on the show.
Yeah.
We had Michael Landrish on not too long ago talking about he's a former firefighter turned marine art photographer, and
Was he the guy with the big beard?
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, so he
I liked the beard.
He came in to talk about the Hemingway and his love for Hemingway. We both have a
Yeah.
love for Hemingway. You have a love for Hemingway. So yeah, he talked about it. And he was in the contest.
Yeah. He looked like him. When he
Yeah,
was
that was the first time he did it. So I
Yeah.
guess he's gonna keep doing it.
He's got some
I
good
hope he does.
photography. Hope he keeps going with it. That's
He's
really
an amazing
nice.
photographer.
Yeah. How about a song?
You want to play music?
Yeah.
Bring in noise.
Yeah, it always kind of warms
Literally.
things up. Dun, dun, dun.
I got my uke on the table. I don't think I'm gonna touch it though, because you're probably gonna sound really good, and then I'm gonna be like, yeah, no,
If you feel so
I'm
inclined,
good.
yeah, man. I like when people jam together. It's fun.
All right, sorry, it's a little tight over there.
Oh, no, I'm chubby. What was it? Built for comfort, not for speed?
Right, built for comfort, not for speed. Two of us.
Right.
So, all right. Yes, it's former educator. Are you educating now? Are you still teaching at all?
Nah, my last teaching position, I worked in a Montessori slash like Reggio Emilia Waldorf preschool up in Asheville, and it was like an LGBT safe zone called Rainbow Community School.
Those kids must have loved you.
Well, you know,
Yeah, they did.
I was more the dude who behind the scenes changing the.
You sing songs for them?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
read
come
books, you know, all that stuff.
Not every teacher brings a guitar to work.
Yeah, well, or brings the guitar and leaves it in the corner, then they get to play. That it was
Right.
it was awesome. Good
I always
experience.
think about that scene in Airplane, right? There is only one river.
There's bad movies made about teachers who play guitar now.
Yeah.
You know. Well, but it was good, and I learned a lot more from them because writing kids' books or trying to focus on writing stories that are for little kids as well as for songs for older people, you have to saturate yourself in their environment and just observe what makes them laugh, what makes them tick, and so that's kind of what prompted me to take the position, as well as being involved with the kids and doing something positive, and it was nice. It was a good
Yeah, cool.
experience.
I think you do that for adults too.
I do.
Kind of like feel them out and see what make them take them play to the crowd and all that.
Yeah, and I like playing for people of all ages, and that's what I think. Well,
Children of all ages.
children of all ages. No beer involved in preschool, though.
All right, Pat Benatar, hit me with your best shot.
All right, let's see what I can do here. I'm gonna move this one around here. And this is
Do whatever you gotta do.
This is a song called "The Sunshine Billionaire."
Cool.
I'll leave that there. Oh, dancing in the tall grass, gray below heavy, just waiting on another show. It's good to be back home. A man come up, said, isn't it a pity that I can't find a job? Need a new place to go, and so I said, let's go where everything is warmer, it's always warmer. Every day of the year, every day of the year. A good time right around every corner. Oh, John is a sunshine billionaire. Good to be back home. So I'm gonna shorten this one a little bit because it's like the 18-minute Alice in the Restaurant version right here.
Take your time, brother. I'm drinking beer.
Oh, this is when I need a straw. We outlawed those. Don't do them. And now you're dancing in the warm sand, sun-loving hippie, waiting on another show. Oh, it's good to be back. Lord, it's good to be back. So good to be back home. And when you're back, the sun's always shining. Always shining, every day of the year and every day of the year. Good times all right around every corner. Oh, Dennis is a sunshine billionaire. And are you a sunshine billionaire? But it is so good to be back. Lord, it's good to be back. You know it's so good when you get off of that Card Sound Road. The 18-mile stretch to be back home. Mm. It's like
and the crowd
Bonnaroo.
goes nuts.
Yeah,
Awesome,
man.
brother.
Thanks. Fun song.
How long you been doing that song for? That's a classic Micah song right there.
I wrote that one in 2008.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was coming back from I was driving around the country, picking up shows as I went. A lot of couch surfing, meeting up with friends I hadn't seen, and I got to about Asheville, and I was camping with my dog, and realized I didn't have enough money to get home, and so a friend of mine named Tom Smith, who lives in Isla Mirada, he's got a couple of restaurants. Meat is one of them. Back at the time, it was called Tasters, and I called him up. I said, "Hey, man, I'm going to be pulling in on fumes, and if you could book me that night, I would love it because I could start, the season." And he said, "I'll give you this much money, but if you show up, you have to have a new song." So I was driving. I got to Valdosta, Georgia, and I was hanging out at an Applebee's and wrote it real quick and got back in the car and memorized it, pulled out of the car and played it. It was so good to be back off the road.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And that's one of the things I love about you so much. I mean, obviously, we've known each other a long time. So I've seen different stages of Micah and progressions, but you've always been that at your core, like that person.
Oh, does traveling or?
No, just like that sense of outlook on life.
Yeah, every day is going to be
That's always
good.
who you've been,
Yeah. Well,
So to take it back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk. Let's go way, way back.
uh-oh.
All right, let's start from the beginning, Micah.
In the beginning.
Former high school educator, also Gibbonite,
Yes.
right? Fellow alumni.
Yeah, that's a nice place to go to high school.
Nice place to go to high school.
Yeah.
And then you were a coach, a track coach there, or cross country or track?
So mostly cross country and long distance runners.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know much about the sprinting and the other events, so we always had different coaches in track to do that. And but mostly the long distance running stuff, I could relate to people who like to get out and go for a jog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went to Gibbons, you graduated from Gibbons, and then you went to UM?
I did. I was
I keep bringing hurricanes on the show, John. What's up with that?
Yeah, which was also an incredible experience because they gave me a scholarship to go run track for them. I was lucky enough to win the state meet in '87 for cross country, and Tony Caballero at the time was their coach, and they had a real good football team from '88 to '92. I was there, and
You think?
a little bit, and it was successful.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, they had other sports that they needed to fill in the gap, and cross country and track happened to be one of them. And they were kind enough to give me some years, and I ended up with a degree in history, secondary ed, and a minor in English. And so I took that and became a high school teacher for a while.
Right, and that's another place where we relate because I'm a huge history buff.
Yeah.
That was always math was never my thing, but
Yeah.
art and history were always my two. Like that's my lane.
Sure.
And which makes the Mint thing kind of cool
Yeah.
because I'm now like doing like historical things with my work. Which,
By the way, you are super amazing.
Stop.
And no, my brother Greg and you guys went to high school together, so your
Yes.
name has been floating and meeting you over the years, and it's just like, wow, there's people on this planet that are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and they're good at it, and they care about the community, and I think we all can learn a little bit from that, and it just kind of trickles down to different people when you meet them and you see it, and not just having this room to do it within, but in your own life, you've been doing it for years, and your wife Liz is fantastic, and I know that over the time that we've been friends, you've never faltered on who you are, and that's something that you can't find very often in human beings, because there's always that one moment where you kind of go, okay, this is a phase. And your phase has always been a trajectory of going positive. It's really cool.
I appreciate that. Really, that does mean a lot. Thank you. During the course of my all right, let me rephrase that. I want to say during the course of my career. I think during the course of people's lives, I think that a lot of people get sidetracked and they get stuck. And we talked about my lane. You get stuck in this lane that's very safe and it's very comfortable and it's a good life and you know what I mean. But really, is that your calling, your vocation, like where you're supposed to be? Like
Right.
I was always in the creative. I always did creative.
Yeah.
Like even in my old job, I worked that job in the music business. It was the music business, so it was awesome. I loved my job. I loved the people I worked with. I did not have a shitty life there at all. You know what I mean? It was good, but my passion was always running my own studio, doing my own work, doing my own painting, the whole thing like that. So I needed to really kind of do that for myself and follow that path and that dream. But I very well could have stayed and been a lifer there.
But
and I think a lot of people, they find and they build their life and then they look back and they go, oh, okay, there was that one thing I always wanted to do, but this is a good life. You know what I mean? So if you want to be the one that takes that leap, and then you just got to keep your eyes on the prize and keep your focus there, and it will happen if you do that.
What's funny about is having that focus takes a lot of energy.
Tons.
Yeah, and you get to a certain point, and you're like, okay, I've expended as much as I possibly can in this creative outlet, but I need more. And sometimes it's actually pulling back and doing less. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that led me to music from teaching and from being a coach is I was doing it to a certain extent and then realized that wasn't where my energy was going to be focused the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And so changing it, trying to find something else positive. One of the first things I did when I got back to the Keys was I used to take people out of Robbie's Marina, do eco tours and talk about the environment and how fragile it was. And it all kind of related directly back to being a teacher. And I think that's kind of my life goal is through music, writing songs that kind of help you to learn a little bit. It doesn't have to be overwhelmingly positive or in your face, but throwing something in there that kind of adds to the moment.
Sure.
And
your like a creative communicator.
Yeah.
Somewhat,
My brother Greg calls me a casual observer of change. And so I can sort of write songs about what's, the Keys move so slow, but
your brother's always been great with words.
He is brilliant. That dude is.
He's always great with a lot of things, but
yeah,
particularly very good with words.
Yeah, I can name a few things he's not good with, but we'll get to that later.
Trust me, we all know what Greg's not good at.
That's true.
Love you, Greg.
And I'm just real grateful and fortunate to have this life the way it's going right now. It's
for
really
sure.
Beautiful.
Well, you made the leap, right? You kind of said, what is it Mark Twain always says? Cast off the.
Well, actually, I was.
There's a whole Mark Twain quote on set the sails, cast the ropes, and blah, blah, blah. Take the anchor off the bow, whatever, however it goes. And
Mark. Follow it. He was always saying funny things.
Mark's a good dude. We hang out sometimes.
Old Samuel.
Yeah.
The crazy part about what I was thinking is that I didn't plan on being a musician. It just sort of happened. And within 1 4-month period, I had my lower back broke, had surgery. The teaching position kind of was too much energy. I couldn't do cross country and track anymore.
Is that what happened? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Carnegie Tide was doing real well, and Andy and all those guys. Andy Patterson was the person I was writing lyrics for his music at the time, and we were doing very well and starting to have a name in the town. But physically, my back went, and recovering time took a little longer. And by the time the school year was over, Andy and we were all talking. He says, "Why don't you just go down to the Keys for a year?" And I'm self-taught on the guitar. When I turned 30, I picked it up and really sort of focused on it until I had a real that was the path that led me back down there. It was not something that I was thinking about for years. It was just literally like a 2-3 month moment. And then to have the band that I was in be successful without me in it, because I wrote the lyrics and sang for them, but they had other people who could sing and perform the shows and continue going forward. And in the meantime, I kind of ducked out and went down there to recover. What was going to be a year turned into 19. So I'm still, recovering. Terrible.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah. But everything happens for a reason, and you got to make the best of the moment. And I couldn't run anymore, which I loved competing in 5Ks and 10Ks. But when I couldn't physically do that, I had all this extra time on my hands, and I thought, put it into the guitar and put it into music and lyrics and poetry and art.
Hell, I might as well go to the Keys and play guitar.
You could do it.
Yeah. Nice.
Just next time, bring a harmonica, though. You got to have a harmonica down there.
I'm so upset at myself, really. I'm very mad that I bring my harmonicas today. So,
next time you're down, come down and bring some instruments. We'll jam out. It'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I got my ukulele, but I don't think I can hang with you. On, what is it?
think Vance Joy might have stole something from you.
Yeah, maybe.
That guy.
So anyway, so you got what's that dog on you?
So
you brought a dog with you.
I did. Brought a dog. Brought props. So this is Pepper, and he was my buddy on stage for about 14 years. And if you listen to some of the lyrics in my songs, he pops in quite a bit. And yeah, he was a real good companion to hang out with and play music. And up until the last couple of years, I never had a leash on him. And we went up to Maine 7-8 times in a row and down through the Keys and all over the place. And that was my travel companion. So
yeah,
he's kind of here with us all the time.
Yeah, he was a good dog.
Yeah.
He was a good dog. It's nice you take him with you.
Yeah, this is what I hang on the microphone, kind of. So I have a little bit of playing solo for a lot of years is it's weird, you know. You're 4 hours having a one-sided conversation with a gigantic metal penis in your face. Just, you know, really kind of. You need to feel you got a dog with me, you know. And,
Yeah.
But all in all,
your dog is your soulmate. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah.
You know, like really, it's like that extension of you. It's like your satellite.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And he still hangs around. He's waiting for me to be in a position in life to get another dog, and he'll probably show up and help me find that new dog. And
yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. It's good to have a dog. Do you have a dog?
I've never been without a dog my entire life.
That's awesome.
Like I've always, you know, I mean, there's obviously those gaps between dogs, but there's always like usually for me it doesn't last that long. I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's a void in my life that I have to have filled.
Are you a cat person?
All right, so I'm not a cat person, but I am
Things
now.
to learn about Dennis.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I am now because Liz is fostering kittens.
Okay.
Right, which we've brought up. I think we brought up on the last episode with we're keeping Cupcake. Like
Keeping Cupcake.
Keeping Cupcake, right? It's the sweetest little kitten. But she like it's like something that she feels she needs to do for herself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got 5
It's either
kittens.
that or another kid.
Yeah,
Go with the cat.
We're done. We're good.
Okay.
So we already have 2 cats and a dog,
Yeah.
but that wasn't enough for her. She needed to foster 5 more
All right.
little tiny kittens.
Have you discovered Zantac?
Yeah.
No, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll keep it going. You know,
Yeah.
cats.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's so I fell in love with them because they're like I wish they could stay that small all the time. Like they're like little mice running around with personalities and stuff, and it's cool. I'm like, man, if you guys could only just stay this big, I would keep all 5 of you. But they're gonna turn into like
Monsters.
big mad cats.
They're gonna take over the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
but I don't know. I don't mind cats. I mean, I never really was like, it was never really like a thing with me. But I never hated them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess that's what really opened me up to be like, actually, when I met my wife, she was like, no, we're having cats.
Yeah.
It really wasn't up to me.
Yeah.
But-
Chickens. What's up with that now? Everybody wants chickens.
Yeah,
You
my
know,
brother has
I
chickens.
live in a condo. I got to get a chicken. you
Yeah,
know?
my brother has chickens. He lives in Bradenton.
Yeah.
So
Chickens
they
are.
can stay over there.
No, it's not for me. Cats are interesting. They do have a different personality musically too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they let you know when the song's not good. Dogs, they can sit through anything.
Right. They
Cats will
tolerate
leave
it.
the room. It's true.
That's why dogs are better than cats.
I do.
Because they'll be loyal to you like
Yes.
that.
Funny
Cats
story
are-
about a cat. So when I was a teenager, I was lucky enough to live on an old Hatteras at the Atlantic Bridge that you just redid. And I haven't been down there. Since I'm here today, I haven't been out of the Keys
Oh,
in
you
a
got
while.
to check it out.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go by the sands and check out that thing. And is the Helen S still there? Is that gone?
No, the Helen S actually just left like 2 weeks ago.
For real?
Yeah, it's going to be like a crabbing boat now.
Huh. Okay.
At least that's what I heard.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Glad
Fish
it's still,
City
I'm-
Pride's there.
Fish City Pride still
That-
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skipping them, they still run that daily.
There was a so I guess Merritt Boatyard was over here, and then my buddy Tidal Wave Dave's house was over in Lighthouse Point, and I lived on a canal, well, same size as like at the Merritts, was across the street,
16th Street.
24th court or 25th.
Okay.
And
So
so
a couple blocks north.
yeah, it was just it was like a fun neighborhood, but there was always boats around. So I remember my buddy Bill would show up and he'd grab he had an old McKee craft, like an 81.
That's a great boat.
Wonderful boat. And
Yeah.
I was something about going to Cardinal Gibbons by boat. You know, he would pick you up and zip down the intercoastal back when you can kind of still get there. This is not a bad way to do things. I just moved from California, so I was newly experiencing all of this. And Tidal Wave Dave's house was over behind the Ping Church, and Bill's Palace. They had an old Hatteras that they lived on. And so I split my time through high school between the two places. Tidal Wave Dave had a house on No Name Key that his parents had purchased the land after the Bay of Pigs invasion. And so they had all this acreage down so they could build homes. They were hoping that the electricity was going to be pumped in.
Right. So did they consciously like, oh, Bay Pigs, it's my house.
That actually kind of came about later. I did a paper on the No Name Pub at University of Miami.
Right.
And I was living at their house and learning more about the history and the old hermit that lived out in the No Name Key and all this stuff. And they trained for the Bay of Pigs invasion out there, and there were still tripwires that had been cut, to make them safe. All these little trails that would take you through these back parts and stuff. So my first experiences were going from Pompano. They sold the Hatteras and they bought a boat in Lower Matacumbe, or bought a house. Mm-hmm. In like 85, 86. So we started going down there at the time. And that was how it all started for me going down to the Keys, was with my two buddies, Tidal Wave Dave and Bill French, and their families, nice people.
Yeah.
So Bill became a Navy SEAL, and unfortunately not here with us anymore. He was SEAL Team 5. He went to Cardinal Gibbons, graduated with us, and his family was super instrumental in my whole Florida Keys experience. Tidal Wave Dave and his family definitely brought me to a different side of the Lower Keys, but Isla Morada was all about the French family. And our class of like 88, a lot of them used to go down there and hang out and party and fish and just get away. And it was sort of an open door policy for everybody. But when he passed, he left me his cat. So that was how and I'm allergic to cats. So at
Gotcha.
22 years old, all of a sudden I ended up with this cat that he got from a friend his sophomore year. And it was like a house cat that was outside. And the cat lived to be 22. And
wow.
So I learned
how old was he when you got him?
The cat was probably teens, early teens.
So you got him
2000.
For a good chunk of his life.
Yeah, her name was Jamasina. It means
Jamasina.
Yeah, Satan Kitty. The cat would hide underneath the bed.
Satan Kitty?
Yeah, it was truly terrifying when you would get up to go to the bathroom, and then you ever when you're a little kid and you have to run and jump onto the bed.
Yeah,
because you think there's a monster. There really was one. And it was this cat, and she would run out and grab your ankles and start biting you, and it was
Mike Fortune's cat Puck was like that. I was deathly afraid of this cat.
Yeah, there's certain cats that just know when you're afraid.
Yeah,
this one did everything. Beat up my dog once.
You would really?
Yeah, she kicked his ass. It was terrible. I felt bad for my dog. It
was like this cat would just look at me and go, and you just
don't touch my painting hand, kitty.
Yeah, leave this one here. Yeah. We're good.
It's all swollen.
So, you've written a lot of songs about mostly the Keys, right?
Half of them. Yeah, half of them were about, more introspective sort of stuff. But, unfortunately, when you're playing in a tourist area, I didn't get a chance to perform those as often. Mm-hmm. When I go on the road and go north to Maine and I hit the coastlines and get into a little more like, I don't want to say a deeper environment, but there's something about the Keys where people, from what I've, experienced, if a family does 50 years of hard work, in Ohio or something, and they save their money, they come down, the last thing I want to do is bum them out and play some of these like deep, meaningful things. So I try to keep it light. Mm-hmm. And those songs are fun, but I kind of get torn once in a while between wanting to be like an artiste, and then other times being like, I'm entertaining these people, and they're going to have a blast, and they're going to go home with some good memories.
It's funny you bring that up, because we face that challenge here a lot.
Sure.
Where it's like, okay, when I walk into the studio, I'm like, do I want to follow my heart today, or do I want to knock off this project list?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, like money.
What were you thinking this morning, man? Because oh, crap.
Actually, you know what I was thinking this morning? I'm like, man, these allergy pills and ibuprofen and everything better kick in, because I feel like dog shit. Mike is on his way. I'm feeling good now.
That's okay.
Everything kicked in.
If you got more of those, I'll share them. Let's all get allergy down, man.
Yeah, no. We're all good. We're all good.
Well, thank you for calling me to come on up and be a part of this, because first of all, I'm very fascinated with where South Florida is going as a historian, and taking, a peek, and having been gone from this area for almost 2 decades and coming back up here and seeing it from a totally different perspective.
What's your take on that?
I'm going to find out more today as I drive around and see things, because I don't want to oversimplify, because a lot of my friends that we've all grown up together, and some people that are still here and are still experiencing Florida and Fort Lauderdale and Pompano and Miami, and are absolutely in love with it. There's a reason for that, because it doesn't exist anywhere else on the planet. This is a very unique environment. And I think it takes a certain personality to see that and absorb it and make it their family and stay and make it a home, and that's something that I really respect. I'm originally from Southern California, And as a kid, we moved a lot into different places. So I get itchy feet, and I always enjoy coming back here and seeing it. But I don't know if I could move back at this point. It's really congested and
It's very
large.
congested now.
Yeah. But any place that's beautiful and popular, that's going to happen. The Keys now are seeing it more and more. Just to go 8 miles a couple months ago took me 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think the rest of the world's finally finding out what we already knew the whole time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for better or for worse. But
The TDC did a hell of a job.
Yeah, I mean, it's really. I mean, I hope Pompano's going through a transformation right now. A good one, a positive one. I mean, they're doing a lot of great things for the town, and like art is at the forefront of their transition and their transformation. And I hope, the only hope I have for it is that they don't lose sight of what Pompano is, and they don't try to like. I don't know, knock to Fort Lauderdale, but it's very citified, especially like East Fort Lauderdale, and
Yeah, I haven't been up here in so long. I've truly drive around. I don't recognize much, and which is
I just don't want them to like over urbanize it, like acidify it, and make it too modern. Like there's a certain charm and character to Pompano, and that's why we designed the bridge the way it did, with just fish all over. Because that's really, to me, speaks to the soul of the town.
Yeah,
and the people that live there. That's why they live in Pompano.
Yeah.
But I just hope that they keep it in check and still. And I think they're doing a pretty good job at it from the conversations that I've had.
Sounds like you might be in a position to help that.
Yeah, well, we're trying.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to stay involved. We're I got the mayor of Pompano Beach and the head of the Pompano CRA are actually coming on the podcast here in a couple of weeks, and so we're gonna have just some discussions about the direction and.
Well,
and those guys are really great to work with.
Yeah, and if you believe it can be, and you visualize it and focus, and that's what you want it to become, and enough people believe in that vision, it's just going to happen.
Yeah,
which is great.
Well, you look historically throughout time, being a history person, when you look at the ancient ruins or old Rome, or even modern American history, as short as it's been, the first thing you look to tell you the story of history is the art.
Yeah. Go inside the cave.
Right. Exactly.
And I just really, sometimes I wonder, like, when you go to those places, though, and you look around, you're like, where's the bathroom?
Or for the cave?
Anywhere. Yeah. It's just.
Yeah, I would imagine it was
pretty crowded in those spots.
A little bit.
First thing I do when I'm driving, I'm like, my God, man, there's got to be a lot of bathrooms around here.
You gonna play more songs for us today?
Yeah, it's probly a good idea.
Don't let me interrupt you from drinking the beer, though.
Well, no, there's no interruption there.
Iguana Bait.
I like that beer.
Honey Hibiscus Kolsch.
They have some IPAs that are really fun, too. They got a Critter. Oh, that's a good song. So I have a... I gotta put this back down and get closer. Sorry.
Barstool Sailor. So what did you just played a festival, didn't you?
Kinda, yeah. We did a fundraiser for Hopetown on Saturday.
Oh, okay. How'd it go?
It was good until the hurricane force winds and weather showed up.
It was really windy last week.
Yeah, it came in, and they finally had to call it about 4:00. But my buddy Wood Campbell does those things all the time. He's one of those guys that he sees a need in the town, and he jumps at the chance and gets everybody involved in the community. And I like that guy. He's cool. If you get a chance to come down to Isla Morada, meet Wood. He's
Wood Campbell?
Wood Campbell.
Shout out to Wood.
Yeah, Fuzzy Buddha Productions. He's a nice cat. And he also used to be the stage manager for the Marley Fest for like 10, 12 years. And he's just very calming, easygoing. And when it comes to music, he knows how to do sound and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So there's a song called The Last Keys Critter.
Okay.
The book that I've been working on for years, Humphrey the Manatee.
It's with Lemmy Fishmore.
Lemmy Fishmore is The Last Keys Critter. And this is it's kind of a weird song. It started off, there's a place called Bud and Mary's Marina in Isla Morada where I used to hang and practice all the time. And in the back there, they had guys they called the barn dogs. And instead of hiring dogs to keep people from breaking in and stealing lower units and, doing stuff, they had this dude named Sparrow. His real name was something else, but that was his nickname. And he had all of his buddies that were really kind of rough. But once you got to hang out with them, they were nice, people. But the initial contact was like, don't mess with those dudes right there. And so like literally when you walk in the boat barn, you would see these heads pop up out of the boats because they were sleeping in the boats that they were working on. and they would be in their sleeping bags and just, 6-packing some smokes, and it's me. Don't
Right.
no need to come on down. And there was this one guy, his name was Little Kenny, and Little Kenny was the dockmaster at Whale Harbor for many years, and everybody knew him from there. And he lived in the mangroves, and he had this path through the mangroves to his little hut, and it was just loaded with sabiki hooks. And one time he'd had a couple
As
cocktails.
a booby trap?
Yeah. And so one day he didn't show up for work. And the next day he didn't show up for work. And finally someone said, we need to go check on little Kenny. And they went and found him. And he was all stuck, like, help.
No.
Help. Oh, yeah.
Like a puppet?
Oh, yeah. He was. So little
that's
kid.
horrible.
He was cool, man. And he was a Golden Gloves boxer from Canada. And he came down and he was kind of hiding out in the Keys. He was just doing his thing. He just wanted to be left alone. And then one day he just didn't wake up. And so there's always celebrations of life in the Lorelei, and we all get together and tip our rum and stuff. And so I thought I would write a song for it. Well, I ended up writing a song that ended up becoming a kid song, but it's actually about a celebration of life. So it's kind of strange, but it works.
All right,
let's try this again.
Let's have it.
All right. Well, he's got a Hemingway beard and a sunburned brain. He's got a coconut, a helmet, and a bamboo cane. He's got all those papers to prove he's positively insane. There goes the last Keys critter leaving on a conch train. Some pineapple hands and flip-flop feet. Oh, yo, raccoon eyes and the barracuda teeth. Our buddy is living life at 6 knots, out fishing the sea, born a little shaggy and stained. Well, there goes the last Keys critter. Yes, the last Keys critter. There goes the last Keys critter leaving on a conch train. Well, he might be pulling traps out back. He's leaning over the rail, dressed in that weathered suit that he bought from a man named Mr. Fred Neal. Now, everybody keeps on talking about Fred. Now, Fred Neal was a guy that used to live in New York City, played a place called the Gaslight Lounge. Wrote a song called Everybody's Talking About Me. I'm gonna go where the weather suits my clothes. Remember that one? In the pouring rain? It's a good song. Well, he's got Vietnam tattoos and the Papa Joe clothes and blues. He is a real McCoy caught between a catch-22. Oh, but he's got all those papers to prove. Ah, Henry every day, Lemmy Fishmore says, oh, I got a Hemingway beard and a sunburned brain, coconut, a helmet, and a bamboo cane, pineapple hands and flip-flop feet, raccoon eyes and barracuda teeth. That's the last Keys critter. There goes the last Keys critters. Oh, there goes the last Keys critter leaving on a conch train. Yes, he's got the Hemingway beard and a sunburned brain, coconut, a helmet, and a bamboo cane, pineapple hands and flip-flop feet, raccoon eyes and some barracuda teeth.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, when we first concepted this Connected by Water podcast, you were one of the first people that I had in mind for asking to come on the show. I'm like, yeah, we can we can bring this person on. They can talk about this. We can bring this person. We can bring Mike on. He can play guitar.
I love it.
We want it to be all about, just life and the culture and, the whole scene behind the scene and everything like that. And you coming on and playing right now, I'm like getting goosebumps. I'm like, man, that's exactly what we had planned for this whole thing. And that was beautiful, man. That was
created
great.
a good thing, and we are going to share it. Because it's fun, and it'll inspire people from years from now to do the same thing and hopefully keep it going positive because, man, there's so much a bummer that's existing right now that music and art, this is what we should be doing.
Well, that's the saying. You don't focus on that negative. You just focus on, blossoming and grow where you're planted. My mom always used to tell me that. Grow where you're planted. Like, you don't need to go, like, to New York or some other place for that place to find you. You got to find the place, and nothing's going to happen without you. You know what I mean? So you might as well just put it right where you're at and then sing or play or create or do whatever, you know what I mean, you need to do where you're at.
Yeah, and volunteering time. Community and your friends and is so important, and it doesn't take a whole lot. You even need it one day a year. That's better than not.
None.
And sometimes I look at the world and I think that you have an opportunity, everybody does, to make a better moment. And it starts with ourselves to be the best people we can be. And from there, it's easy to kind of contribute what else is going on. But who knows? Who knows what's next, But in the meantime, this is the path that we're carving, and we're going to go forward with it.
For sure.
Man. I know.
How you doing, John? You liking the music so far?
Yes, very much. Very much. I'm nice and relaxed this morning.
Yeah, Micah's an interesting cat, isn't he?
Very much.
I think music is a lot like the color of the water. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the greatest singer, and I'm not the best guitar player, but there's a tone that you can find in the show. And when I travel up north and people that can't afford to come to the Keys and they can't afford to come to South Florida, and I find myself in, Kentucky or something, and I'll play these songs, and I can see the folks will relax. And you only get so many heartbeats before it's over. So if you can slow them down for a couple of hours, you might gain a couple moments of your life that you weren't expecting. And that's kind of fun. So
it's an outstanding way to look at it, and in a similar way, we look at, I look at my art the same way. I can draw and paint a lot of things. They choose to paint, fish and create that mood and that atmosphere when people look at a painting. They could be like, yeah, that's where I want to be.
Yeah,
that's where my soul is at right there. And if people can connect with you, through your art, and you all can have that perspective for that moment.
Sure,
worth every penny, worth
Work
every
your
moment.
butt off all day in an office and come home and look at one of your paintings and go, yeah, it's worth it. I'm going to be doing that soon again.
Yeah,
or I can't do it this particular moment, but this brings me to it, and that's awesome.
Yeah, celebration of the place you want to be.
Yeah,
for sure.
A lot of movement in that one. That's good.
Yeah, that's an adaptation or a rendition of what's on the bridge or a part of it.
Cool.
So so we had one of our rap vendor partners, Image Graphics, come in and they said, yeah, put it up.
One of the things that's kind of funny, I called Greg. I said, hey, man, can you give me something on Dennis? And he's like, what do you mean? Oh. And so he goes, no, call Aaron Palazzo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And I didn't. But it's kind of cool that you're doing this minting thing when you were the treasurer of your high school class.
Yeah, I was. Well, that was early on, and then I ended up being student council president.
Yeah, man.
At senior year. Yeah. So I was a politician in former life.
That stuff is
I got people to vote for me with free lunches and
but it's good to have that sort of initial take charge.
Mm-hmm. That was an interesting time too, because when I went to Gibbons, I knew one person there. I didn't know anybody, and I stepped into that environment, and it seemed like most of the kids there all knew each other from St. Coleman's or some other school.
I went to Pompano High my freshman year.
Did you?
Yeah. Really? Then they closed it. I was like, "This is a cool
is
school."
That when they closed it?
Yeah.
It's a really good school now.
Yeah. It was fun,
Yeah.
They let you out to go surf. Second Street wasn't much of a surf, but it was fun.
Gibbons let you out to surf too, or at least.
Yeah.
At least that's the way I looked at it.
I kind of quieted down at Gibbons. I got into long distance running, and that just makes people weird. You do 100 miles in a week. You
get real within yourself mushy. Then.
Yeah. A lot of I listen to a lot of music in my head. I have the ability to put on a vinyl and hear the whole thing,
While you're running?
So yeah, and then I could
Do you
flip
hear
it
the
over.
crackling and everything too? When
Hear
you're
the whole thing.
Yeah.
I can visualize it and do that. I definitely did a lot of listening to. Unfortunately, back then I think I had Boston in my head the whole time. I loved the guy's tone of his guitar was always stuck. And then
like the More Than a Feeling. And all that. Yeah,
More Than a Feeling.
Yeah,
that was it.
It's funny. I was driving in the truck this past weekend, and my son, who's 6 years old, we heard that song came on the radio. Yeah. That was the first time he heard it, and he was like, "Daddy, who's that?" Like, yeah, it's Boston. It's good stuff.
That guy's he had a good tone.
Who's you got a lot of musical influences though.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, the man.
Oh yeah.
Right?
In Newport Beach, California, from 79 to 81. My family, my mom's dude had a 35-foot Chris Craft in Newport Beach Marina. And that was when I would walk up and down with my fishing rod, and every other boat was playing like Son of a Sailor or one particular harbor, and totally fascinated. It fit the whole element of what was going on, and I really enjoyed the music. And then when we moved to South Florida in like 84, December of 85, I saw Jimmy Buffett up at Sunrise. And it was the coolest thing. He walked out barefoot, sand on the on the bars and stuff, and fake palm trees, but he had this refrigerator behind him, and he would open it up and people would hand out cases of beer, like 15, and it was like a Cheech and Chong movie inside, and I was like, I'm getting kind of hungry too. And all of a sudden these doors open, the guys come running out with pizza boxes. I'm like, beer, pizza, barefoot, this guy's on to something. Like, this is all right, so I think when I hit 30 and my back went, I was like, I'm gonna do that sounds kind of fun. And I'd already been listening to his music for many years and gone to a ton of concerts and read all of his books, just dug it.
Yeah, me too. I'm a disciple myself. So
first band when I went solo was called the Grateful Parrot Heads.
Yeah,
we would do Jerry Garcia versions of Buffett tunes. And
really?
We would jam out like one particular harbor, and Pirate Looks at 40 for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love and it's related to Buffett. It's one of the reasons why I love your song Sunshine Billionaire so much, because I often say, if I won the lottery today, I probably wouldn't change much about my life. I mean, I'd probably buy a better boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What kind of boat do you have?
Travel a little bit more. I don't have a boat.
Me either right now. I'm boatless.
Yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, there's maybe a couple add-on features to this component, but I'd still paint fish.
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't change any of that. I'd probably go to Italy a couple of times more, and you know what I mean? And
I'd upgrade my minivan.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't know, man. I kind of like your
minivan. It looks like it's been through Irma.
Stand by your van.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I finally had to name her.
Which is?
Halen.
Halen?
Yeah.
A Halen port?
No, like my van.
Like Van Halen.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Yeah, man. No, we just did a nice road trip in that thing, and I love driving.
Where'd you drive?
I went up to Pennsylvania through like Virginia area, and we did a lot of back roads just to kind of get off the beaten path, and ended up in some small little towns. And I'm always curious. I love Asheville, and it's one of those places. Years ago, I worked at a place called Camp Highlander while I was teaching at Givens, and we'd go up there in the summertime and work, and I just fell in love with the town. But it's very, very busy now, and there's always in the back of your mind, like, where's the next place to go? So,
weren't you making beer there?
I was serving beer.
Beer.
Yeah, I've never made beer. I made one beer. I made a Belgian blonde here recently at the Florida Keys Brewery. I gave them a recipe for Starfruit and Idaho 7 Belgian yeast, and we called it Sunshine Belgianaire, and it was good. It was
Sunshine Belgianaire. Good. Yeah.
It was. But as far as being in the scene of brewing, that's a real physical focused thing that
I'd never be able to do it because there's a certain smell that permeates from breweries that I cannot stomach.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I experienced that was we went to the Busch Gardens in Virginia, in Williamsburg, when I was like 15.
Yeah, and the mash tun.
Yeah, and we took the Budweiser tour, and there's this one like suspended bridge path that you got to take from one side of the brewery to the other, and man, it is just filled with that smell. I had to start running.
Yeah.
I was gonna puke my guts out.
Sometimes pretty thick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, try it again. You never know. It might be.
Give it another shot.
Come on, try it again.
Try not to throw up.
Yeah. No, I like serving. I like bartending and serving beer and talking to people. And I did mixed cocktails up in Asheville, like little hipster drinks that were fun. And this place called Bramari. Really good bar. One of my favorite breweries and probably I've ever been to. When I'm outside of the Keys and I'm traveling through that area, they got some real expressive beers, and the energy, the vibe, the music. you know, it's funny. A lot of the songs that I tend to focus on or listen to are not always islandy. You know, I love heavier stuff. And so I'm
You got one in the pocket for us today?
on the guitar. No, I don't. You know, that's the thing. I don't sing and write it. If I did, I would write it for other people. I have a couple of those songs that I've like, man, Kurt was still alive. You know, that would be kind of cool. Or, and most of the songs I perform and write, in my mind, I hear somebody else singing it or doing the performance of it, and I can visualize it. But then I get stuck doing it, and it's okay. But I always feel like it could go to a whole different level with the energy.
I don't know though. I mean, you say that. I mean, and I get it as a fellow creative. I mean, you're just more critical of yourself than anybody else.
Yeah, I just don't look good in skinny jeans. Yeah. So I just can't pull it off, man.
But there's a certain charm and character to the way you do it. And I think it's not like you said. I mean, is it about people judging like the tonal character of your voice or the effective accuracy of how you play guitar, or is it the whole package of who you are and what you're feeling? And,
well, I enjoy it, and I would do it anyways. I just sometimes there's some songs out there that could you imagine if this person did it and that kind of thing. But I'd love to do another song. How about
what about Henry Flagler?
What about him?
Well, we're both Flagler fans, right? We're both Florida history buffs. And
best book on that I read was called it was by Les Standenford, Last Train to Paradise. Have you read that one?
No.
That was a good one. That was good. There's a couple tunes. Actually, there's a great book called Tropical Quest by Wesley Sizemore. He's down in Key West, or was, and it's about the architecture and how Key West sort of developed out of these boats that would come up ashore. They'd flip them, cut them up, and make them into homes. And this guy went down there in the 70s, and he started working for a company and fell in love with the architecture of the place. But he lived there, and he writes this great history of what it was like to be in Key West through the 70s and 80s and 90s and how it's changed, and some of it stayed the same, but really good read and fast and pretty funny. Yeah.
And some of it got raked over, I'm sure, by this storm or that.
You know, that's one of the things about coming down to Isla Morada here recently is the storm, that Irma.
Changed a lot.
Yeah, man. There's a blanket of sadness that's just still starting to lift. And when I'm playing some of the shows around town, my happiest moment is when I bump into people and they're like, when I was gone for a couple of years, I took some time off from playing and I came back, and they said it kind of reminds them of what it was before the storm. And that's...
Well, that's what I'm getting at before. There's a certain charm and character to you doing that song. Then,
yeah,
you know what I mean. It'd be written by someone else because you bring that vibe and you bring that environment that kind of permeates around you.
Yeah, it's
true.
Yeah, it's true. Having fun with it. That's the whole point of this thing. If it's unfun, it shouldn't. Just make it funny, I guess.
Sure.
How about? Do you want heavy or you want slow? You want?
I want
fast?
what you want to give me, my brother. I heard they're putting a moratorium on the building down there, aren't they? Is that true?
Yeah, in 2023, I believe.
Is it that late? I thought it was 21.
It might be. I'm not real super.
I'm a proponent of that, though. I think they need to slow it down a little bit.
I haven't put any thought into it. And part of it is a lot of my friends are in the construction, building businesses, and they're and I think that's something for me not to sort of have a voice on.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah, and it's a good point too.
Huh?
It's a good point too. If you've got to make a living.
Yeah, and that it's one of the things your show, when I've been watching it, when I was on my road trip, I watched a lot of the cast and stuff, and I know it's a lot about fishermen and fishing and stuff, and that is the one thing that before I leave today, I have to say most respect to all the fishermen of the Florida Keys and the people who live down there and work so hard and get up every day, because it's they don't stop at 4:30 in the morning. They're out there getting bait, and and then they're coming back and talking to clients. And then as a musician, I get to observe and see this and see how it affects their families and their income and things. And right now it's kind of slow down there, And so if people want to come down to Isla Morada or the Upper Keys or Lower Keys and come down and fish, I totally encourage you guys to take the time, come on down and spend some energy, and I will buy you a beer, I'm sure.
There you go.
So this one is...
You're going to have a line of people outside the bar now waiting for their free beer.
I didn't say it was going to be our beer. You get a PBR and a lime, man. We got a hillbilly holiday. So this is a hurricane song. Shutters.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Totally partying our faces off during 2005 hurricane season.
No, that was the best one yet.
It was a blast. It was just
2005 for a lot of people can't remember. Was even we really got hit by Wilma.
Yeah.
In 2005 5, but it was 2004 and 2005, where there was really 2 years where we really didn't have a free weekend. It was just like boom, boom,
I was
boom,
unemployed
boom,
for 4 months, living off my credit cards, and everybody's love.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine, like, if people weren't here in Florida, you can imagine we just had Hurricane Dorian sitting out there. You just imagine just staring at that hurricane, and there's like 4 more behind it.
Yeah,
like waiting and right in your path, like coming your way. And that's what it was like those 2 summers.
Yeah, that was a good time for everybody to come together.
Yes, it was.
When the whole town emptied out, and we were all, finding what our special needs were. One of my favorite things is I would go around to different homes and play guitar for people and hang out, and we were just trying to keep the mood light. And that was a really interesting year. And I got to meet a lot of the old time conchs, the Alberries and the Penders, and the families that sort of made the RCs and the Bynums. There's some names down there that there's several generations of people that you don't see them all year, but they're there. They're watching and they're in the background, but they're just, they're never going to go anywhere. The whole place could be just one palm tree, and they're going to try to figure out a way to build a home out of it. Mm-hmm. And that's, you learn to respect those folks. All right, see if I can get this one going here, man. Oh, no.
It's all right.
Breaking shit.
We have insurance on those things.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
We don't really. I don't have insurance on anything.
What kind of microphone we got here? I leave my shutters on all season. There's a hurricane coming. Well, I fear, 'cause the pressure's dropping. Our fingers are crossing, and I'm sitting like a bowling pin on an island in the ocean down here. Oh, but the island life is fine when the seas are rough, 'cause we still feel the rays when we cannot see the sun. And then we open up our shutters to let that breeze on in. Let's all feel the ocean all over our skin. You're watching weather, thinking about whether or not you should stay here. Seems everybody's leaving. My bank account will start shrinking. Oh, while I'm drinking an island marauder with all of my friends. Now, island life is funny when that sea gets rough, but in the eye of a hurricane you see a lot of stars if you look up. So open up the shutters just to let that breeze on in. Let's all feel the ocean all over our skin. Oh, it's time to feel that ocean. Here we are again, my friends, another year has just gone by. You're never too young and you're never too old to smile when your dark clouds come by, and smile when the storm goes by. Smile, the hurricane's gone by, went north. Well, island life, it gets kind of funny as the sea gets rough. Oh, you still feel the rays when you cannot see the sun. And in the eye of a hurricane, you see a lot of stars if you look up. So open up the shutters and let that breeze on in. It is time to feel the ocean all over your skin. I left my shutters on all that season. There was a hurricane coming. It was Bonnie and Charlie and Jeannie and Francis and Wilma, Katrina and Rita and Ivan and Ike and Wilma and a few more I don't quite remember that I fear. So I'm watching the weather, just thinking about whether or not that we should stay here, sitting like that bowling pin on an island in the ocean down here. Well, I'm flipping cups of my friend Gary Bynum's and drinking beers, and I'm wondering whether or not, I'm still wondering. Well, I'm really just wondering if somebody out there to somebody go call FEMA. Man, you can declare my liver disaster area. Somewhere there.
I love you, brother. I love you, man. Well, incredible.
I would have never written that song if it wasn't for Trying to Reason with hurricane season.
It takes you right there.
Yeah, man.
Takes you right back. I mean, yeah, that's when I met my wife, was during all that. And awesome. we were dating for a month. We were camped up for Hurricane Wilma.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a 1. I walked through there like I'm a hero with a 6-pack and a bottle of wine. And, I'll take care of you because he's originally from New Jersey. And, don't worry, baby. It's just category 1. Then that thing ended up rolling in as a 3 and like tore up South Florida. We were in the eye. We walked out in the middle of the eye and everything like that. And then we were out of power for about 2 weeks. And then there was trees all over the place. And you just had my Ford F-150 at the time. And
did you learn how to chainsaw?
Yeah. And I looked at her at one point. She's sitting in the passenger seat of my Ford pickup truck. And I said, well, we're both unshowered and barely fed and eating out of Doritos bags.
Terrible time to make love.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
It's all good. I turned to her. I said, well, I guess you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
She goes, no.
That's awesome.
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. If she stuck it out through one of those with you, you only had a 6-pack, that's a woman right there.
That's it. So,
we
tested ourselves right off the bat. And I remember she had this old Saturn and I started getting low on gas and the gas stations weren't full yet and everything like that. I'm like, well, the battery is dead in that Saturn.
Right.
So I had my good friends, the Bennett's.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
They own Bennett Auto Supply. And I'm like, you need to get me a battery for this car because that car's got a full tank of gas. Yeah. And it did. Yeah. And they got me a battery for it. And then, we're all hooked up for another.
So how long after that until you guys were
8 months till we were married. 8 months till we were engaged.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
When you know. Yeah. It's time.
Pretty much. Yeah. It was good. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
And then I asked her to marry me in Key West Harbor.
Really? Yeah. Oh, that's
on
cool.
Sunset.
Where'd y'all get married?
On the Sunset on the on one of the catamarans down there.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow. So
you chose wisely, my son.
Chose wisely.
That's awesome. And she's got some nice artwork in there. It's beautiful.
She does. She's an amazing artist.
That's really cool. It's good to have somebody that gets you and you get them.
Yeah. Well, she keeps me in check a lot of times. So I can't imagine how tough it would be without her, without having like the perspective of, her guidance and giving me that kind of second eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or saying no when it's the right time.
Yeah. We have this saying in our household called "You might want to consider."
Okay.
Which really, when I remember, I'm going to tell a quick story here about a fender bender. So I'm at my old job, and we were just dating. We were engaged, actually. Liz calls me. She's like, I just got hit in the back. We were in the rear end. I got rear-ended at the tracks there on, I think it was, 10th Street in Dixie or Sample in Dixie or something, somewhere around there. And I said, okay, well, just hold tight. I'm leaving work. And I'm a good 25 minutes away, and it's rush hour. So I'm just trying to haul butt there. And by this time, the guy had left.
Whoa.
Yeah, he left, and she pulled into the CVS, and then the BSO came over, and he knew that there was nothing that could be done.
Right.
We're never going to find this guy. You know what I mean? He was from, I'm just going to say one of the islands south of us. That's all I'm going to say. And, he probably might not have been documented.
Yeah.
And so he, rightfully so, probably didn't want to get caught. I wouldn't want to get caught either.
Martinique?
Right. No.
Okay.
I think he was from Haiti.
Okay.
Anyway, so the cop is there, and he's like, well, let me give you a little bit of marital. You guys are engaged. He's basically not taking care of our situation at all because he knows whatever. He's going to document it. He's going to report it.
He is in a different way.
Yeah, whatever. So he goes, let me tell you something that's going to help you out even more. He goes, I've been married for 35 years. He starts telling me this story. He goes, one thing that has always made our marriage last. And we're like, what's that? What's the secret, right? And he goes, you might want to consider. We're like, what? He goes, don't ever tell each other what to do, but say, you might want to consider taking the trash out.
Oh, there you go.
You might want to consider walking the dog right now.
Yeah.
Or you might want to consider not wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
So like, take that shirt off.
No, that's good.
You know what I mean? So,
dialogue.
And we practice it all the time, and honestly, it works.
How old are your kids?
6 and 8.
There's a book.
They don't get the whole "you might want to consider" thing. They just ignore it.
When I was teaching, there was a book called Positive Discipline, and and it helped me tremendously because it takes all of these phrases that we would say normally and translates them into a way that you could say them to kids where they think that they're sort of doing it for themselves. And it saved my ass. I was like a couple of times like, this is the situation.
Yeah, always make it seem like it's their idea.
Yeah. It's just somebody took the time to figure out how to turn it and make it good. So.
Yeah.
John, how we doing over there, buddy?
We're doing good.
Yeah?
Doing good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
You want another song or you want
Yeah, you know what I want to do?
Yes.
Ukulele.
No, I'm just
You want me to play? No, you don't want me to play.
I want you to do whatever you want. It sounds good,
look,
man.
I'm not. This thing's so old now. I need new strings on it, and
We got a bunch of ukulele folks on the keys that they get together. And it makes you feel like you're in Hawaii. It's beautiful.
No.
I've never been to Hawaii, but I all of a sudden between the picture over here and
You feel like you're there now.
I'm there now.
No, we're not going to do that.
All we need is some pineapple.
So, I want to go Facebook Live with you playing guitar for your next song. Can we do
Sure.
that? Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah, awesome.
Hold on. Starting live video.
Doing a little Facebook Live.
Facebook Live. All right. Thank you for your patience on the podcast, people. But we are here live. We've been podcasting for about an hour now, and there's John in the corner, real quick. What? Oh. So, all right. So I'm here with my real good friend, Micah Gardner, Mr. Barstool Sailor himself, and we have been.
We've been at this for a while now.
We've been at this for a while now. A couple
17 beers into the morning already.
So we are bringing it.
So this is a song I wrote for a nice family in the Florida Keys. They're from this area in Pompano also, the French family, and it's called Tropical Hibernation. You know the coconuts you planted have turned to shade, like that swaying hammock in all those sunny days. And wow, that bimini top, it got kinda crusty and began to fade. A wooden dock, how it's splintering while we all get a little gray. So welcome to your tropical hibernation, where you live in your life like a working man's vacation. You have no regrets when you have no expectation. Making no excuses when you're using your imagination. Now if you take a red sunset with a blue-green sea and all these purple islands to raise your own families, you can wade in shelly water down on Lower Matacumbe Bay. Oh, drift right out the canal, right through the wheel ditch in a 14-foot McKee. You're welcome to your tropical hibernation, where you live in your life like a working man's vacation. Have no regrets when you have no expectation. You make no excuses for living a life like it's one big celebration. So I heard the music is easier than it sounds, and I heard the music is harder than it might feel. But all this music, memory vibration. Yes, all this music is a memory vibration. All the music, well, it has been around since evolution, and it goes right back to creation. So welcome to your tropical hibernation. Go and live your life like it's a working man and a working woman's vacation, and have no regrets. Well, you should have no regrets. No regrets for living a life like it's one big celebration. And all these coconuts they plant will turn to shade. And all the coconuts that you planted, yeah, you can take a red sunset and a blue-green sea. And all these purple islands, raise your own family. Talking about Wade and Shelley water down in Lower Matacumbe Bay. They drift right out the canal, right through the wheel ditch in a 14-foot McKee. Yeah. And all the coconuts that you plant, well, they will turn to shade.
Yeah. That, my friend, is what Connected by Water is all about.
Yep.
And
love you, Dennis.
Love you too, brother.
Awesome.
I'm glad to be able to bring my friends on every now and then to do this with me. Makes it all worthwhile.
Thanks
Check
for
out
making
the
it happen.
podcast, guys.
Yeah, buddy. Fun.
All right, I'm going to press stop on this thing. I'm going to finish and ending live video.
Yeah, man.
So.
That was fun. I love that song.
I love it. I love all your songs. You kidding me? Sweet.
I got one for you, but I'm not ready. It's called Let the Fisherman Rest.
You're going to debut it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I would love to, but there's this one phrasing that I just can't let it flow.
What is it? Can't talk about it?
Jose Wahebe. It's one of the lines in the song, and it flows, but sometimes I just want to make sure the pronunciation goes well with it. It's a poem that I started. It was actually a drawing, and I had a friend of mine. His name was Jimmy Lozar. He's still kicking.
And if I cracked another beer for you, will you play it?
I could try it. Yeah, I'll just butcher that one part, but it'll be all right.
Yeah, man, debut it. Right. Debut it. We're debuting. Oh, we're debuting new music on Connected by Water.
So, fishing rods in one corner, tackle box in the other, are having a conversation over a fisherman who had just passed away. He's laying in bed, just took his breath, and they're thinking about all these adventures that they had. And there's a certain respect that comes over the community, a certain respect that comes over the ocean, the backcountry, and everything. And I thought, again, it goes back to the Lorelei, where you do these celebrations for these friends that have checked out or just grown old, and they're fishing somewhere else. So, yeah, that's kind of. Then there's a buddy of mine, Timmy Arce, who's a fantastic person, old conch down there, who he makes runs of hurricane supplies up and down the coast whenever people need him. Well, one time he was on his way through the Carolinas, his truck rolled, and he's a fisherman. He's a big dude, and punctured his shoulder, something got in there, and the message I got was pretty serious that he might not make it. And so I'd started this one for Jimmy Lozar, and he survived. He's a strong dude, and he's a great musician in the Keys and great backcountry fisherman. And Timmy's an offshore sort of dude. And when I thought about the song and I wrote it the first time, I involved Zane Grey and Hemingway and Old Tavernier and some stuff. And then I was hanging out Tidal Wave Dave, who's an avid fisherman. Like, I fish, but I'm not a fisherman. I'm the dude who has a couple beers and ends up handing his rod to somebody to put the bait on. I'm like, I'm lost. Dave is the guy that told me, he's like, man, if you want to just cover everything in one full sweep, go do your homework on the Spanish fly. And I'd seen the show, but I never really focused on it. And I thought, oh, that guy really was backcountry, offshore, the whole.
Jose was legit.
Everything. That's who I looked up to as a kid.
Did you?
Yeah.
For sure. I got a good friend of mine, Derek Redmine, too, their whole family was very close to him.
Wow. It's that's the thing that's beautiful about writing songs. I don't necessarily have to live all these experiences, but if I can share them from the perspective of what makes sense to a lot of people that are in that love for that sport, it makes sense. So, all right, I'll give it a. The offshore winds fall silent, and out back, the mosquitoes hold their breath. So tonight, let the fishermen rest. A tribal profession, a coast shore fishing captain. The natives are getting restless. Oh, the native conch is alive. A Sioux Street celebration, an aquatic inspiration. Oh, there will be, yes, help is on the way. 'Cause the offshore winds fall silent, and out back, oh, the mosquitoes hold their breath. So tonight, let the fishermen rest. Now raise your rods up so high, the fishing rods up to the sky, and you tip your glass when you go through the toilet seat pass. Yeah, now set your drag. Your life is but a test. Oh, let the fishermen rest. Some tackle box confessions that are luring suggestions. Just play it against Sam. Oh, you do it for your kids. Play it against Sam. Oh, do it for the kids. Now the offshore winds fall silent, and out back the mosquitoes hold their breath. So tonight, let the fishermen rest.
That was absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks, man. I like that one.
What do you call that one?
Let the fishermen rest.
Let the fishermen rest. Yeah. That was beautiful.
Thanks, man.
That was like, oh, you got another one on your hands right there.
I really had goosebumps.
Yeah,
during
right.
That one.
That was good. And you talk about that toilet seat pass too.
Yeah.
We just went lobstering there.
Did you
this
really?
past season? Yeah, that's where my Harris has got a house right there. So we went there for mini season. I go on day 2. I don't go on day 1.
Oh yeah, I bartend on those days.
Yeah.
I'm not going, hey,
I don't do day 1.
I look like a manatee at the end of it.
Yeah.
The funny part about that was I sang it at a show not too long ago, and I'm still working the kinks out. And somebody comes up and goes, "So tell me, who was Toilet Seat?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "The fisherman, he passed away. Was his name Toilet Seat?" And I'm like, "So they thought that the fisherman's name was Toilet Seat passed?" And I'm like, "No, it's yeah."
Yeah, you go right through 2 rows.
Yeah.
That's
a good spot.
That's a real good spot. In fact, actually, one of the kids we were with, they had 2 jet skis behind us on the way back from. We went down to Alligator, just for the afternoon, and we came through, and he went left.
Oh,
yeah. So we're like, where'd the other kid go?
Yeah.
He was right behind us. So we had to go back, and he's like,
I'm
sitting
so
there.
lost.
Yeah, he's all on dry land. Like, hey.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful cuts back there.
Yeah.
Twisty Mile. And I remember years ago, folks would throw parties out like on Carl Ross Key and drag a bunch of plywood out there and generators and kick it. And
Yeah.
it was fun, good stuff. I really have loved living down in the Keys. There's one place on the planet that my soul always kind of gravitates back towards. And I can be a million miles away from home, and then all of a sudden I find myself like, I got to get back. It's time.
There's no other place like it in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I always say that's the jewel of Florida is the Keys.
It's
hopefully
special.
we keep it that way.
Yeah, and I'm blessed by the community there. They've been nothing but supportive, and whenever things get a little bit iffy in my life, I can go out for about 45 minutes and feel better about everything. You know, there's just you're gonna bump into people that are just such good souls, and they get it. You know, they're not sugarcoating their existence, and we're all doing what we can to be happy and enjoy it. And I'm really super proud of my friends that have families like yourself. You know, I don't have kids and all that stuff. I'm not raising a family, but I'm around many of them that are, and I'm just proud of everybody. I can't think of one of my friends that's doing a shitty job raising their family. You know, I'm just so happy. You know?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I mean, you kind of like look back at everyone now, or you look at everyone now, and then you look back at who they were.
Sure.
And for the most part, people are in a pretty good spot. You know, and I want to, to kind of. We got a good life, and I hope people appreciate what they have, and they're not like kind of clamoring for more. It's like accept where you're at and what you got, and it's the value of that, and I think it's an important way to live your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a couple of friends that I graduate with that I vicariously sort of live through. They tell me about what's going on in their lives, and they're very endearing. Richie Paulhaus?
Yeah,
he's one of my most favorite people I've ever known. And he's one of those guys that he'll call me just out of the blue, and we'll talk for about 20 minutes, and he's very deep. He gives you a lot of things to think about that are so positive to make your world just seem better than you could ever imagine. And his wife, Colleen, and all, they got me interested in like some, Abram Hicks and all that stuff that I've never really listened to, but I'm like, this is really good. And I'm really proud to be able to sit back and listen to stuff and have friends that are consciously making decisions to, raise good families here in the Florida Keys and up in South Florida. It's cool.
For sure. I mean, the Paulhaus family, the whole family I've known my whole entire life.
Yeah.
The Skipjack crew, the Bernard I see more than any of them.
Yeah.
Because we're always doing a bunch of stuff together. But as far as Richie goes, I'll bump into him in the strangest places. I mean, down in Islamorada was the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
For the Islamorada Backcountry Tournament. And then I bumped into him at a Jack Johnson show once.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. So it's always good to see those guys.
Yeah. He's my definite one of those connections to up here that I keep. Who's doing what's going on, and how are things going? Everybody's happy, kind of thing. So.
Right on. So you're in the Keys full time now.
I bartend Monday, Wednesday at the Florida Keys Brewery. I play music at Mark 88 on Thursdays, and then Fridays kind of up in the air. There's I was playing a place called Pines and Palms, which I really, really like. If you ever come down there and you need a place like off the beaten path, that's very ma and pa, stepping back in time. That's a good spot for it. All the beautiful resorts are up and running. Things are back to normal. A lot of new restaurants, and Saturdays I do Lorelei during the day sometimes. Other times I'm over at the brewery, but mostly just kind of.
So no set schedule.
Not really. The probably the one thing that's set is the brewery. Bartending, and if you come in and catch me there, or go to the website, check that out.
So what's the website? How do they get in touch with the brewery?
So it's MicahGardner.com. And the brewery they post their schedule. They have music there all the time. It's really nice.
Right, and that's what the Florida Keys brewery?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, it's right
Simple
there
as that.
right across from Murata Bay. And they do an art walk all the way to the end. And so we've been doing some nice things there. And I just like being surrounded by all the artists. There's something about it. Just really,
sure.
Really cool.
Yeah, awesome, man. You got one more for us before we take off, you think? Or you want to do one last one to close the show out?
I will. I'll finish on an up note.
There you go.
Tidal Wave Dave and I used to hang out a lot, and we've gotten that point where we're still hanging out, but it's not as much as often because we're busy. And he's down on Ramrod now, down in that area, and fishing a lot and doing his stuff. But we went drinking one day in 2003. It's kind of an old song, but we were at a place called Papa Joe's. Do you remember Papa Joe's? Mm-hmm. And we're at that point where you're looking out and things are starting to get a little fuzzy. And there was a sailboat going behind Lignum Vitae, and I consciously looked up and said, "We've been bar hopping all day." I said, "Man, we've been barstool sailing." And so he wrote down, "Well, I guess you're the barstool sailor." And that's how that whole thing stuck. And, you can't pick your own nicknames, but if your best friend throws one at you, and his nickname is Tidal Wave Dave, and that's a whole nother story. But
wasn't a hammerhead shark involved and something like that? Isn't there?
Yeah, have you seen that?
Oh, you told me the story once.
Oh yeah, there's a song behind it that sort of commemorates his craziness. All right,
his survival.
Yeah, so this is kind of a island bluegrass, and I had some stickers called Island Grass, but yeah, it wasn't very healthy for the environment. Country music. I'm a pepper dog musician, singing about the ocean, cast my soul in the outgoing tide. I'm barstool sailing, just a no-name fisherman, but I drink and navigate this island life. So where were you and Andrew that hurricane in 92? Ghost in the mangroves since 1935. Conch shell, conch home, Henry Flagler's railroad. He crawled across Snake Creek Bridge, he lay down on its side. Well, that pepper dog musician, just singing about the ocean, cast my soul in the outgone tide. Barstool sailing, Dennis Friel is a fisherman, and he drink and navigate some of that island life. That's right now. Here it goes. Where were you and Andrew that hurricane in 92? Ghost in the mangroves since 1935. Conch shell, conch home, Henry Flagler's railroad. He crawled across Snake Creek Bridge, he lay down on its side. It did now. Oh, well, it lay down on its side, lay down on its side, it laid on down. So we drink and navigate island life. Let's all drink and navigate some of this island life. We'll drink and navigate our island life. Oh, drink and navigate some of this island life. That's right.
Yeah. Woo! My man.
Short and sweet. I don't know how those bluegrass guys do it, man. Hours of that.
That's tough work. Micah Gardner, what's your @ on the Instagram and all that funny stuff?
Oh, that's a good question.
You don't know? I figured it out.
Yeah,
Micah Gardner is on social media somewhere. Find him.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me on up here, man.
I love you, bro. I
dude.
could sit here for 10 hours with you.
Come on down and hang out.
I'm gonna have to sit there for at least 48 hours.
It'll be good
pretty soon here. So,
John, it's nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you too, sir.
Man.
We're gonna say my buddy Mike G always tells me your ego is not your amigo. Just do your best and let God do the rest. Always remember to eat, drink, and be local. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, we are always all connected by water.
That was kind, man.
Thank you.